So we kick things off with Karl Rove, former Deputy Chief of Staff to President George W. Bush and a Fox News contributor. Karl, great to have you with us today. So you listen to some of those closing arguments. You see the discussion about this could be the last election of our lives coming from Katie Hobbs. What do you think about that?
Well, Katie Hobbs and Catherine Cortez Masto. And I'm like, please, is that what people think the election is all about? No. They think that it's, the new ABC poll. Economy, 80%. Inflation, 77. Education and schools, 75. Threats to democracy down there at 74. But what's interesting to me is that it's pretty much even between who has the best message on threats to democracy. Same poll, 43 Republican, 47 Democrat. So it's even. That's relatively even. So why are the Democrats doing this? I don't know, because it's not the issue that's at top of mind. The economy, inflation, and crime rank higher. And not only that, I guess the reason that they're not talking about those issues is the Republicans have advantage on all three of them.
Yeah, you make an interesting point about people's understanding of the election and whether or not it will be fair. It's split between both sides in terms of caring about that as an issue, and it's not one of the highest ranking issues. So it's interesting to see this poll that we talked about yesterday, which said 8 out of 10 voters said that they think the election will be decided, in a fair way, that they can digest and accept. Here's Chuck Todd talking about the warning signs that he sees when you look at demographic groups in the election for black voters, young enthusiasm. Watch this.
There are two enthusiasm numbers in particular that I want to highlight here: African American voters and young voters. And as you can see, remember, Democrats had a good night in 2018, and right now African American voters are not quite at their 2018 levels, and young voters are not quite at their 2018 levels.
So he's talking about voter intensity, something you talk about a lot, Karl. When you look at enthusiasm, party to party, how's that looking?
Well, we're starting to get some numbers because we can look at these early votes. For example, in Texas, the early vote among young voters, which has traditionally been more Democrat, is collapsed. I mean, it's about half of what it was 4 years ago. And we're also seeing some movement in these polls. I've been talking to some of these campaigns. For example, the DeSantis campaign, very bullish on the Hispanic vote in Florida. Same in Texas. Governor Abbott is going to have his election night party, not in Austin, Texas, the capital, but in McAllen, Texas, in the heart of the Rio Grande Valley. Why? Because he thinks he's got a chance to get 50% of the Hispanic vote. And then we're seeing some real angst among Democrat ranks about the black vote. Not only the level of turnout, is it going to be as high as they need it to be, but about defections, particularly among younger black men.
And you see that Stacey Abrams is saying that black men in Georgia have been subjected to misinformation.
Yeah.
And that's why they're not turning out in the numbers that she would have expected.
Well, isn't that something? Insult their intelligence. They're too dumb to figure out that they're being misled. I mean, they're changing because their issue cluster is more akin to Republican than Democrats. They're waking up and saying, wait a minute, I'm concerned about getting a good job. I'm worried about making my paycheck stretch to fit my family's needs, and I'm worried about the safety of my neighborhoods. And the Republican candidates like Governor Kemp and Herschel Walker seem to be thinking and talking more like I want than the Democrats are.
Let's see what you got there.
Well, this was the Republican advantage on the big issues. Yeah. 52-38 on the economy in the ABC poll. On inflation, 50-38. On crime, 54-34. These are issues that are pretty closely matched. But what's interesting to me, education in the schools is 44 Republican, 47% Democrat. That's a big shift. This used to be a huge advantage for the Democrats, and it's melted away. And then threats to democracy, 43 Republican, 47 Democrat. Remember, some people are sitting there saying, I think one-party rule, like we've seen for the last couple of years, is a threat to the future of our country. We got some people, particularly in the Hispanic community and particularly in Florida, who are saying, I think the Democrats are going too far to the left. I don't want socialism in our country. And then the issue that works for the advantage of the Democrats, 37% Republican, 50% Democrat, say the Democrats can handle the abortion issue better. The problem is that of the issues tested in the ABC poll, it's number 6 in importance. And even less so when you try and isolate it. Like in the Gallup poll, they say, what's the most important issue? 4% say abortion is the most important issue.
All right, I got to let you go, but red wave or red tsunami, what are you feeling today?
I'm feeling red wave, but waves can be big and can be small. I don't think it's a tsunami, in part because the Republicans did well in the congressional races in 2020, picking up 14 seats while they were losing the White House. the party that loses the White House only picks up seats, and they happen about 1 out of every 5 times.
Yeah, so Republicans are at 212 right now, and when President Obama lost 63 seats, I think they were in the 170s, right? Karl, thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.